welcome. Thank you for choosing to settle in and share this time with me. Find a comfortable space, allow your breath to deepen, and let the world outside gently fade. My name is Silas, and I find a quiet joy in journeying, not just to see new places, but to feel them, to listen to their unique rhythms, and to gather moments of stillness aboard my traveling home, the Wanderer. It's a slow way to travel, perhaps, but one that allows for reflection and appreciation of the subtle details that often pass unnoticed. My journeys aboard the Wanderer have carried me through such varied experiences, from the ancient sun-baked stones and layered history of Rome, to the vibrant sensory tapestry of Marrakesh's souks, and the elegant, melancholic beauty of Buenos Aires. That memory of finding hidden courtyards of profound peace amidst the bustling energy of Marrakesh resonates with me now, a feeling of seeking tranquility within vibrancy as the Wanderer carries me eastward. Through the window, the landscape has gradually transformed. The air growing warmer, more humid, carrying the scent of damp earth and unfamiliar blossoms, hinting at the tropical embrace that awaits us in Bangkok. In the chapters ahead, as we arrive in this city of angels, I find myself contemplating the serene faces of Buddha statues within a quiet wat, and the silent language of the lotus flower offerings I've heard so much about. I'm also drawn to the idea of gliding along the historic klongs to witness the rhythm of life that unfolds along these ancient waterways, a world away from the city's modern pulse. And I anticipate the sheer sensory immersion of Klong Talat, the flower market, imagining the air thick with the perfume of countless blossoms, a river of color and fragrance. This is an invitation to slow down with me, to observe these moments, and to find a measure of peace in the present, just as I seek to do. Let the gentle sounds of the journey soothe you as we arrive and begin to explore the calm atmosphere of Bangkok together. If you find comfort and tranquility in sharing these experiences, perhaps consider liking this recording or subscribing to the channel to join me as the journey continues. For now, let us begin. Chapter 1, Towards the City of Angels. The gentle, rhythmic clickety-clack of the Wanderer's wheels on the tracks is a familiar lullaby, a constant companion on these journeys into the heart of new lands. Outside my window, the landscape unfurls like a painted scroll, each scene a delicate brushstroke of vibrant life. The air, even through the slightly open window of my carriage, feels different now, carrying a subtle warmth, a humid kiss that speaks of the tropics. I lean my head against the polished wood paneling, the smooth, cool surface a comforting contrast to the growing warmth outside. My small notebook rests on the table beside me, its pages filled with the impressions of places now behind us, waiting patiently for the stories this new destination will offer. A cup of pale gold jasmine tea steams gently in my hands, its fragrant aroma mingling with the familiar scent of old books and worn leather that permeates my small moving home. I take a slow sip, the warmth spreading through me, a quiet ritual that marks these moments of transition. The fields outside are a startling, luminous green rice paddies stretching as far as the eye can see, shimmering under a sky that is a softer blue than I recall from recent weeks. Dotted amongst them, like emerald islands, are clusters of palm trees, their fronds swaying with an almost imperceptible breeze, their silhouettes dark against the bright canvas of the fields. Occasionally, a small village flits past, houses on stilts clustered together, their weathered wood blending seamlessly with the surrounding nature. I catch fleeting glimpses of daily life, brightly colored cloths hung out to dry, a lone figure tending to a small boat on a narrow waterway, the flash of a smile from a child waving as the train passes. These are the quiet details, the small human moments that paint a truer picture than any grand monument. My camera lies ready in its well-worn leather satchel, but for now, I simply observe, allowing the impressions to settle, to steep like the tea in my cup. The light begins to shift, the sun climbing higher, its rays now more direct, casting sharper shadows. I notice the change in the vegetation, a subtle thickening, a wilder, more profuse growth along the edges of the tracks. The air, when I draw it in deeply, carries new scents, damp earth, a hint of something sweet and floral perhaps, and the faintest, almost imagined tang of distant cooking fires. There is an energy building, a subtle thrum that seems to emanate from the land itself, a quiet hum of life that is distinctly different from the landscapes the wanderer has traversed before. I think of Bangkok, the city of angels, a name that evokes images of ancient temples and bustling markets, of serene canals and vibrant street life. My knowledge is gleaned from books and whispered stories of fellow travelers, but soon these second-hand impressions will be replaced by my own. I feel that familiar stir of gentle anticipation, a quiet curiosity that always accompanies the approach to a new place. It is not an anxious excitement, but rather a calm eagerness to learn, to observe, to understand a little more of this vast, varied world. The interior of the wanderer is a haven of quiet comfort. The soft woven rug underfoot, the familiar armchair upholstered in natural fabric, the small bookshelf filled with favorite novels and travel guides, each element is a source of solace, a reminder of home, even as I journey far from any fixed abode. The large panoramic window, currently my portal to this unfolding Thai countryside, provides an ever-changing vista, a private cinema of the world passing by. The solar panels on the roof hum almost silently, powering the gentle lights and allowing me to keep my small essentials charged. As the afternoon wears on, I see the first distant glimmers of what might be temple spires, wats, as they are called here, their ornate multi-tiered roofs catching the sunlight like golden beacons. They are fleeting glimpses, appearing and disappearing between the trees and rising ground, but they are a tangible sign that the city is drawing nearer. The landscape becomes more populated, the villages more frequent, the signs of human endeavor more pronounced. Yet there remains a sense of harmony, a feeling that life here is lived in closer concert with the rhythms of nature. I pick up my notebook, the well-worn leather cool beneath my fingertips. The pen feels natural in my hand. I don't write much, just a few words, a phrase to capture the color of the rice paddies, the scent of the jasmine tea, the feeling of the warm air on my skin. These small anchors will help to bring back the fullness of the moment when I later reflect on this journey. The train maintains its steady, unhurried pace, a rhythm that encourages contemplation and allows the world to reveal itself slowly, layer by layer. The sun begins its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and soft purple. The light softens, bathing the landscape in a warm, golden glow. The approach to Bangkok is not a sudden rush, but a gentle immersion, a gradual unveiling. I close my eyes for a moment, simply listening to the sounds, the train, the distant calls of unseen birds, the faint, almost musical drone of insects. There is a peace in this movement, a sense of being carried towards something new, yet feeling utterly at ease in the familiar embrace of the wanderer, my constant quiet companion on the road. Chapter 2. First Glimmers on the Chao Phraya. The wanderer slows its steady pace, the familiar clickety-clack softening to a more deliberate, measured rhythm. We are not pulling into a grand, bustling central station, but rather a quieter siding, a more secluded platform on the city's edge, as I had arranged. It feels appropriate, a gentle entry rather than a jarring immersion. I stand by the door of my carriage, my leather satchel over my shoulder, feeling the slight vibration as the train comes to a final smooth halt. The air that greets me as I prepare to step down is thick with new sensations, a tapestry woven from the scent of tropical blossoms, the faint, sweet aroma of incense, and an underlying earthy dampness from the nearby river. Stepping onto the platform, the ground feels solid and still after the gentle motion of the train. The sounds are different too. The metallic echoes of the station are softer here, mingled with the chirping of unseen birds and the distant, unfamiliar cadence of the Thai language. I see a few figures moving with a calm, unhurried grace, their smiles gentle and welcoming. There is an immediate sense of a different rhythm to life, a pace that seems to flow rather than rush. My prearranged transport, a traditional long-tail boat, waits at a small, unassuming pier a short walk away, ready to carry me along one of the city's vital arteries, a Klong. The walk to the pier is brief, but every step is an observation. Small spirit houses, intricately carved and adorned with offerings of flowers and incense, stand guard outside modest buildings. Their presence a quiet testament to the beliefs that permeate daily life here. The colors are vibrant, the deep orange of a monk's robe glimpsed in the distance, the bright pinks and purples of bougainvillea cascading over a weathered wall, the rich brown of polished teak wood. Even the air itself seems to shimmer with a certain luminous quality, a soft haze that diffuses the sunlight. The long-tail boat is a sleek, elegant vessel, its wooden hull polished smooth by time and use. The engine, when it starts, is a distinctive, throaty roar. Yet once we are moving, it settles into a rhythmic pulse that seems to beat in time with the river itself. We glide away from the pier and onto a wider Klong, a canal that serves as a liquid roadway. The perspective from the water is entirely different. The city reveals itself from a new angle, its lifeblood clearly the network of these waterways. I feel a sense of connection to an older way of life, a time when these canals were the primary thoroughfares of Bangkok. Houses on stilts line the banks of the Klong, their wooden structures painted in an array of colors, some bright and cheerful, others weathered to a soft silver gray. Small verandas overhang the water, adorned with potted plants, orchids, ferns, and vibrant hibiscus. I see glimpses into homes, a woman tending to a cooking pot, children playing, an elderly man resting in a hammock. Life here is lived in full view of the water, an intimate relationship between the people and the klongs that sustain them. The sounds are a gentle symphony, water lapping against the hull, the distant calls of vendors, the laughter of children. The scent of jasmine is strong in places, drifting from gardens hidden behind the houses. Occasionally, the aroma of cooking food wafts across the water, chilies, garlic, lemongrass, tantalizing hints of the culinary experiences to come. I observe the other boats that share these liquid streets, larger vessels carrying goods, smaller sampans paddled by solitary figures, other long-tail boats ferrying passengers. There is an unwritten etiquette to this aquatic traffic, a dance of yielding and passing that seems to flow with an effortless grace, a stark contrast to the often chaotic dance of vehicles on city roads. My accommodation is, as I'd hoped, nestled in a quieter part of the city, accessible directly from the Klong. The boatman, with a gentle smile and a few soft words in Thai, navigates expertly towards a small private landing. The building is a traditional teakwood house raised on sturdy stilts, its dark wood gleaming softly in the afternoon light. A small, lush garden surrounds it, filled with tropical plants whose names I do not yet know. Their leaves 100 shades of green. It feels like a sanctuary, a quiet haven tucked away from the main thoroughfares. As I step from the boat onto the wooden landing, I feel a sense of peace settle over me. The owner of the guest house, a woman with kind eyes and a warm smile, greets me with a traditional way, her hands pressed together as if in prayer. Her voice is soft, her English careful but clear. She leads me towards the house, her movements unhurried, embodying the gentle pace I have already begun to observe. The air here is fragrant with the scent of frangipani blossoms from a nearby tree. Inside, the house is cool and shaded, the polished teak floor smooth beneath my feet. Light filters softly through slatted windows, creating patterns on the dark wood walls. It is simple, yet elegant, every detail speaking of craftsmanship and care. This will be my home for a little while, a place from which to explore the Lotus Blooms of Bangkok. And already, it feels like a place where I can find rest and quiet contemplation. The journey here, both on the Wanderer and by boat, has been a gentle immersion, a perfect prelude to the discoveries that await. Chapter 3, A Sanctuary by the Klong. The teakwood house feels like a breath held, a pocket of stillness in a city that I know, beyond these tranquil walls, hums with a vibrant energy. My host, after showing me to my room, leaves me to settle in, her parting smile a silent promise of welcome. The room itself is simple but beautiful. Polished wooden floors gleam softly, reflecting the muted light that filters through a window overlooking the Klong. The walls are dark, unadorned teak, their natural grain providing all the decoration needed. A comfortable bed draped with a light cotton mosquito net occupies one corner, promising restful nights. I place my leather satchel on a low wooden chest and begin to unpack, a slow, deliberate ritual that helps me to feel grounded in any new space. My notebook and pen find their place on a small, sturdy wooden desk positioned near the window, ready to receive the impressions of the coming days. My camera, carefully removed from its bag, rests beside them. A few well-loved books are arranged on a small shelf, their familiar spines a comforting sight. There is a sense of rightness to these simple actions, of creating a small personal order amidst the unfamiliar. Stepping out onto the narrow veranda that overhangs the Klong, I lean against the wooden railing. The water below is a murky green-brown, yet it teems with a quiet life. Small fish dart near the surface, and occasionally a larger ripple suggests something bigger moving in the depths. Long-tail boats pass by intermittently, their engines a familiar thrum. But here, set back slightly from the main channel, their passage is more a gentle punctuation than a disturbance. The air is warm and humid, carrying the scent of damp earth, blooming flowers, and the faint, ever-present aroma of the Klong itself. Across the water, other wooden houses stand on stilts, their verandas adorned with an astonishing variety of potted plants, orchids in myriad colors, ferns with delicate fronds, vibrant bougainvillea spilling over railings. I see a woman meticulously watering her plants, her movements slow and careful. A cat stretches languidly in a patch of sunlight on a nearby landing. These are the small, everyday scenes that speak of a life lived in harmony with the rhythm of the water, a rhythm that seems to dictate the pace of everything around it. I return inside and explore the rest of the small guest house. It's not large, just a few rooms, a communal sitting area with comfortable cushions, and a small kitchen where my host prepares simple meals. Everything is clean, well-maintained, and imbued with a sense of quiet care. The craftsmanship of the old teakwood is evident everywhere, from the smoothly worn railings to the intricately carved details on door frames. There's a subtle scent of beeswax and old wood, a comforting, natural perfume that speaks of age and tradition. Later, as dusk begins to settle, I sit on the veranda once more, a cup of herbal tea provided by my host warm in my hands. The sounds of the Klong change as evening approaches. The calls of exotic birds become more distinct, echoing through the trees. The distant, melodious chanting from a nearby temple drifts on the air, a soothing, repetitive sound that seems to weave itself into the fabric of the twilight. Lights begin to appear in the houses across the water, casting warm, inviting glows that reflect and shimmer on the Klong's surface. The transition from the steady, contained comfort of the wanderer to this waterside sanctuary has been seamless, almost dreamlike. While the wanderer offers a sense of movement and journey, this teakwood house provides a feeling of rootedness, of being gently anchored in a specific place, yet still connected to the flow of life through the Klong. Both offer their own unique forms of peace, their own spaces for contemplation. I feel a sense of gratitude for these quiet corners of the world, these havens that allow for slow observation and inward reflection. I think of the name I have chosen for this chapter of my journey, Lotus Blooms of Bangkok. The lotus, a flower that rises from muddy waters to bloom in purity and beauty, feels like a fitting symbol for what I hope to discover here, moments of grace and serenity amidst the complexities of a large city. My host mentioned a flower market, a place teeming with lotus blooms, a place I intend to visit in the coming days. For now, the image of the lotus is a gentle promise, a motif to guide my explorations. As true darkness falls, the sounds of the Klong become more muted. The air cools slightly, though the humidity remains. I can hear the chirping of crickets and the occasional splash of a fish jumping. Inside my room, the simple bed looks inviting. I feel a quiet contentment, a sense of being exactly where I am supposed to be. The journey has been gentle, the arrival peaceful, and this sanctuary by the Klong feels like the perfect starting point for understanding the subtle rhythms and quiet beauties of Bangkok. The city awaits, but for tonight, this peaceful haven is enough. Chapter 4. Golden Spires and Silent Offerings. The morning air is soft and warm as I make my way towards Wat Bentamabufit, the marble temple. I choose to walk part of the way, then take a quiet local bus, observing the city awaken around me. The streets are already alive with a gentle energy. Vendors setting up their stalls, locals heading to work or school, the ubiquitous motorbikes weaving skillfully through the growing traffic. Yet, even amidst this activity, there is a sense of calm that I am beginning to associate with Bangkok, a lack of the frantic rush I've experienced in other large cities. Arriving at the temple grounds, I feel an immediate shift in atmosphere. The noise of the city recedes, replaced by a profound sense of peace. The main Ubasat, or ordination hall, gleams in the morning sun, its walls constructed from pure white Carrara marble imported from Italy, a striking contrast to the traditional Thai multi-tiered roofs adorned with golden chofas that resemble graceful bird-like figures. The craftsmanship is breathtaking, a harmonious blend of Eastern and Western architectural influences, yet undeniably Thai in its spiritual essence. I remove my shoes, as is customary, before stepping onto the cool marble platform that surrounds the Ubasat. The stone feels smooth and soothing beneath my bare feet. I walk slowly, circling the main hall, admiring the intricate details, the stained glass windows depicting scenes from Thai mythology, the ornate door panels inlaid with mother-of-pearl, the serene Buddha statues housed in niches along the outer walls. Each element seems perfectly placed, contributing to an overall sense of balance and harmony. Inside the Ubasat, the air is still and cool. A magnificent Sukhothai-style Buddha image, a replica of the Phra Buddha Chinnarat, sits enthroned, its expression one of serene compassion. Golden light reflects off its polished surface, illuminating the red and gold murals that adorn the interior walls. A few worshippers are present, kneeling in quiet prayer, their heads bowed, their hands holding offerings of incense, candles, and lotus flowers. Their devotion is palpable, a silent, heartfelt communication that fills the space with a quiet reverence. I find a discreet spot to sit on the polished floor, simply observing, allowing the atmosphere of the temple to wash over me. The scent of burning incense is subtle but pervasive, a fragrant reminder of the prayers and wishes offered here. Occasionally, the soft tinkling of small bells hung from the eaves of the temple roof drifts in on the breeze, a delicate melodic sound. There are no loud pronouncements, no grand ceremonies at this hour, just the quiet, personal acts of faith. Outside again, I wander through the cloisters that surround the main courtyard. Here, a remarkable collection of 52 Buddha images representing various styles and periods from across Thailand and other Buddhist countries stands in serene contemplation. Each statue has its own unique character, its own subtle expression, yet all share a common aura of peace. The play of sunlight and shadow across their bronze and stone form is captivating, highlighting the skill of the artisans who created them. I notice monks in their vibrant saffron robes moving with quiet purpose through the temple grounds. Their presence adds to the sense of tranquility, their calm demeanor a living embodiment of the teachings they follow. One young monk pauses to tend to a small potted plant, his movements gentle and mindful. It's these small, unscripted moments that often reveal the true spirit of a place. He catches my eye and offers a slight, almost imperceptible nod, a silent acknowledgement, and the lotus flowers held by worshippers or placed as offerings before the Buddha images are particularly striking. Their delicate petals, in shades of pink and white, unfold with such grace. They form a perfect symbol of purity emerging from the mundane. I recall the name of my journey here, Lotus Blooms of Bangkok, and feel a deeper connection to that imagery. These blooms are not just beautiful decorations. They are carriers of meaning, symbols of enlightenment and spiritual awakening. As I prepare to leave, I pause one last time to look back at the gleaming white marble and golden spires of Wat Bencham Albufeid. It is a place of extraordinary beauty, but more than that, it is a sanctuary of profound peace. The experience has been a quiet immersion into Thai spirituality, a gentle reminder of the importance of stillness and contemplation in a busy world. The silent offerings, the serene Buddhas, the gentle presence of the monks all have contributed to a sense of deep calm that I carry with me as I step back out into the gentle bustle of the city. Chapter 5. Whispers of the Waterways. Today I venture into the intricate network of klongs in Thonburi, the older western part of Bangkok that lies across the Chao Phraya River. I've arranged for a small, traditional wooden boat, quieter and slower than the typical longtail, hoping for a more immersive and less hurried experience. My boatman, An elderly man with a face etched by sun and time nods a quiet greeting, his eyes holding a gentle wisdom. As we push off from the small pier, the familiar sounds of the city begin to recede, replaced by the gentle lapping of water against the hull and the distant calls of birds. The Klongs of Thonburi are a world away from the modern high-rises and bustling streets of central Bangkok. Here, life unfolds at a slower, more deliberate pace, dictated by the rhythms of the water. Wooden houses on stilts line the banks, many of them generations old, their structures leaning companionably against each other. Each home has its own small landing, often adorned with a profusion of potted plants, orchids, ferns, colorful crotons, creating vibrant splashes of color against the weathered wood. We glide past open doorways and windows, catching fleeting glimpses of domestic life. A woman hanging laundry on a line strung across her veranda, children splashing and playing by the water's edge, an old man mending a fishing net, his hands moving with practiced skill. There is an openness here, a sense of community, lived in close proximity, yet with a surprising degree of privacy, respected by the gentle flow of the canal that separates and connects them all. The air smells of damp wood, blooming jasmine, and occasionally the tantalizing aroma of food being cooked in a waterside kitchen. My boatman navigates the narrow waterways with an effortless grace, his movements economical and precise. He points out small, almost hidden waterside shrines, brightly painted and adorned with offerings of flowers and incense, their presence a constant reminder of the spiritual thread woven into the fabric of daily life. He speaks little English, and I little Thai, but communication happens through gestures, smiles, and a shared appreciation for the quiet beauty around us. The vegetation along the Klongs is lush and abundant. Water hyacinths float in green mats on the surface, their purple flowers adding a touch of delicate beauty. Palm trees lean out over the water, their fronds reflected in the murky surface. In quieter stretches, the reflections are almost perfect, mirroring the houses, the sky, the trailing greenery, creating a dreamlike inverted world. The only sounds are the gentle dip of our boatman's paddle. He uses it occasionally to steer or push off from the bank, the chirping of insects and the soft cooing of doves. We pass other boats, a vendor in a small sampan laden with fresh fruits and vegetables calling out her wares in a melodious voice, a long-tailed boat carrying school children in their neat uniforms, their laughter echoing briefly as they pass. A monk in a saffron robe paddling his own small canoe with serene dignity. Each encounter is a brief intersection of lives, a fleeting connection in this intricate water world. There is a sense of timelessness here, as if this way of life has continued unchanged for centuries. I see a small floating market, though not one of the large tourist-frequented ones. Here, a few boats are gathered, their occupants bartering quietly for fresh produce, noodles, or small household goods. It's a scene of quiet commerce, an essential part of the local economy, conducted with a gentle, unhurried rhythm. My boatman gestures, asking if I'd like to stop, but I shake my head with a smile, content to observe from a slight distance, not wanting to intrude on these everyday transactions. The journey feels like a meditation, the gentle rocking of the boat, the repetitive sounds of the water, the ever-changing tapestry of life along the banks, all contribute to a sense of deep calm. My camera rests on my lap, and I take occasional photographs, trying to capture not just the images, but the feeling of this place. The tranquility, the resilience, the quiet dignity of a community living in harmony with the water. My notebook, too, receives a few scribbled lines, attempts to pin down the elusive essence of these Klong whispers. As we slowly make our way back towards a more familiar part of the city, I feel a sense of gratitude for this glimpse into another side of Bangkok. It's a reminder that even in a sprawling metropolis, pockets of profound peace and traditional ways of life can endure. The whisperers of the Waterways have told a story of resilience, community, and a deep connection to the natural environment. This quiet journey through the Klong's Thornbury has been a gentle unfolding, a slow immersion into the liquid heart of old Bangkok. Chapter 6. Dawn in Lumpini's Embrace. The city is still draped in the soft pre-dawn light as I make my way towards Lumpini Park. A gentle coolness hangs in the air, a welcome respite before the tropical sun asserts its dominance. Even at this early hour, there's a quiet stirring of life. A few street vendors are already setting up their stalls, the aroma of brewing coffee and grilling pork beginning to scent the air. I walk with a light step, the anticipation of witnessing the park awaken, lending an energy to my movements. Entering Lumpini Park is like stepping into another world. The sounds of the city, though never entirely absent, are muffled by the dense canopy of trees. The air here feels cleaner, fresher, carrying the scent of damp earth and dew-kissed leaves. The park is surprisingly active, yet the atmosphere is one of profound calm. Groups of people are scattered throughout the vast green expanse, each engaged in their own quiet morning rituals. Near the entrance, a large group moves in slow, synchronized harmony, practicing Tai Chi. Their movements are fluid and graceful, like a silent dance, each gesture deliberate and imbued with a sense of focused intention. I pause to watch them, captivated by their collective concentration, the way they seem to draw energy from the earth and the air around them. There is a palpable sense of peace emanating from the group, a shared moment of stillness before the day truly begins. Further into the park, along the pathways that wind around a serene lake, I see joggers moving at a steady pace, their breath misting slightly in the cool air. Others are engaged in gentle stretching exercises, their bodies outlined against the gradually lightening sky. An elderly couple walks hand in hand, their pace unhurried, their conversation soft and low. There's a sense of community here, of shared purpose in seeking health, tranquility, and a connection with nature within this urban oasis. I find a quiet wooden bench facing the lake. The water is still, reflecting the pastel hues of the dawn sky, soft pinks, lavenders, and pale oranges. Large-leafed water lilies float on the surface, their pads a deep, glossy green. And there amongst them are the lotus flowers. Some are still tightly closed buds, promising future beauty, while others are beginning to unfurl their delicate petals, revealing their pristine white or soft pink interiors. They seem to greet the dawn with a silent, graceful reverence. The sight of the lotus blooms in this tranquil setting feels particularly poignant. They are a recurring motif on this journey, a symbol of purity and resilience that seems to perfectly encapsulate the spirit I am discovering in Bangkok. I watch as one perfect pale pink lotus slowly opens, its petals seeming to drink in the first rays of sunlight that pierce through the trees. It's a small, quiet miracle, a moment of natural artistry unfolding before my eyes. My camera remains in my bag. Some moments are best experienced directly without the filter of a lens. The sounds of the park are a gentle symphony. The chirping of birds greeting the new day, the rustle of leaves in the slight breeze, the distant rhythmic slap of oars as someone rows a small boat on the lake. Occasionally, the faint strains of traditional Thai music drift from a small portable radio, adding another layer to the peaceful soundscape. I close my eyes for a moment, simply absorbing the atmosphere, feeling the gentle energy of the awakening park seep into me. As the sun climbs higher, the park becomes more animated, yet it retains its essential tranquility. More people arrive, some to exercise, others simply to sit and enjoy the morning air. I see someone feeding the large monitor lizards that roam freely here, their prehistoric forms moving with surprising agility. Fish jump in the lake, their splashes creating widening ripples on the still surface. It's a vibrant ecosystem, a testament to nature's ability to thrive, even in the heart of a bustling metropolis. Leaving Lumpini Park as the city outside its gates begins to hum with the full energy of the day, I carry with me a sense of renewed calm. The experience of witnessing its gentle awakening, of sharing in the quiet morning rituals of its visitors, and of seeing the lotus blooms greet the dawn has been a deeply restorative one. Lumpini's embrace has offered a precious glimpse into the city's quieter, more contemplative side, a reminder that even amidst urban life, moments of profound peace and natural beauty can always be found. Chapter 7. A River of Blossoms. Klong Talat. The air is already thick with 1,000 perfumes as I approach Klong Talat, Bangkok's vast wholesale flower market. Even from a distance, the sheer vibrancy of the place is palpable. I've chosen to visit on a weekday morning, hoping for a slightly less chaotic experience than the weekend rush, yet the energy is still immense, a living, breathing testament to Thailand's love affair with flowers. The market spills out from covered areas onto the surrounding streets, a riot of color and fragrance that is almost overwhelming, yet utterly captivating. I step into the heart of the market, and it feels like being submerged in a river of blossoms. Aisles barely wide enough to walk through are flanked by towering mountains of flowers. Orchids in every conceivable shade and variety, delicate white phalaenopsis, vibrant purple dendrobiums, exotic spider orchids cascade from buckets and boxes. Marigolds, their brilliant orange and yellow heads like miniature suns, are piled high, destined for religious offerings and garlands. Roses, jasmine, chrysanthemums, lilies, the sheer abundance is staggering. And then there are the lotuses. Countless lotus buds, tightly furled in shades of pale pink, creamy white, and deep magenta, are stacked in neat bundles, their long green stems tied together. Some are beginning to open, their petals revealing the intricate beauty within. Vendors expertly trim their stems, arrange them in buckets of water, or prepare them for sale. The lotus, so central to Thai culture and a personal motif for my journey, is present here in glorious profusion, a symbol of purity and spiritual aspiration amidst the bustling commerce. I wander slowly, trying to take it all in, my senses working overtime. The dominant scent is a heady mix of sweet jasmine and the fresher, greener fragrance of cut stems. But individual perfumes rise and fall as I move through different sections of the market. The spicy sweetness of roses, the delicate perfume of orchids, the earthy scent of marigolds. The colors are a dazzling kaleidoscope, a painter's palette brought to vibrant life. It's a feast for the eyes, a symphony of natural hues. The vendors, mostly women, work with a focused intensity, their hands moving with incredible speed and skill. I watch one woman deftly weaving intricate Puang Malau, traditional Thai flower garlands. Her fingers fly, threading jasmine buds, small roses, and globe amaranth onto a long needle, creating complex, beautiful patterns. These garlands are everywhere, used as offerings in temples, given as tokens of respect, or simply to adorn homes and businesses. The artistry involved is remarkable, a tradition passed down through generations. Despite the bustling activity, there's a certain rhythm to the market, a flow that, once I attune myself to it, feels less chaotic. Buyers, many of them small retailers or individuals purchasing flowers for ceremonies, move purposefully through the aisles, negotiating prices with soft-spoken efficiency. There are no loud shouts, no aggressive selling, just a steady hum of commerce. I try to stay out of the way, observing from the edges, feeling like a quiet witness to this extraordinary daily spectacle. I pause at a stall, overflowing with lotus flowers. The vendor, an older woman with a kind smile, notices my interest. She picks up a perfect, tightly closed pink lotus bud and offers it to me. Her gesture, simple and graceful. I purchase it, along with a few stems of fragrant white jasmine. Holding the cool, smooth stem of the lotus in my hand, I feel a tangible connection to the beauty and symbolism of this place. It's a small personal memento of this river of blossoms. The market is not just about flowers. There are also sections selling fresh fruits and vegetables, their colors and shapes adding another layer to the visual feast. Piles of vibrant red chilies, green mangoes, purple eggplants, and exotic, unfamiliar produce create a vibrant tapestry. The sounds here are a mix of conversations in Thai, the chopping of vegetables, the rustle of plastic bags, and the occasional rumble of a delivery cart being pushed through the crowded aisles. As I make my way out of the main market area, the intensity gradually subsides. I find a quiet spot on a nearby street corner to simply sit and absorb the experience. The single lotus bud in my hand feels cool and alive. Klong Talat is more than just a market. It's a cultural hub, a place where nature's beauty is celebrated and transformed into art, devotion, and commerce. It's a place of overwhelming sensory input, yet within its vibrant chaos, there's a deep appreciation for the ephemeral beauty of the blooms that pass through it daily. Chapter 8. Flavors and Fragrance. A gentle culinary moment. My explorations today lead me away from the grand landmarks and into the quieter suave, the small alleyways that form the intricate residential capillaries of Bangkok. It is in these less traveled paths that I often find the most authentic glimpses into local life. I am not searching for a famous restaurant or a trendy cafe, but rather for those small, unassuming food stalls where everyday meals are prepared with care and tradition, where the flavors are honest and the atmosphere unpretentious. After a morning of gentle wandering, I find myself in a narrow soy, shaded by a patchwork of awnings and overhanging balconies. The air here is cooler, carrying a medley of domestic scents: laundry soap, incense from a nearby spirit house, and, most enticingly, the aroma of cooking. A little further down, I spot a single small food cart. An elderly woman, her movements slow but precise, is tending to a steaming pot and a small charcoal grill. There are no tables, just a couple of low plastic stools nearby. I approach slowly, not wanting to intrude. She looks up and offers a gentle, questioning smile. I gesture towards the pot, my expression one of polite inquiry. She nods, and with a few words of Thai and expressive hand movements, explains what she is preparing: a simple noodle soup, it seems, with fresh herbs and perhaps some grilled chicken. The aroma rising from the pot is wonderfully fragrant, a delicate balance of spices and broth that speaks of slow simmering and careful seasoning. I indicate that I would like to try some. She ladles the steaming broth over a nest of fine rice noodles in a simple bowl, adds a scattering of freshly chopped herbs, coriander, spring onions, perhaps some Thai basil, and a few pieces of thinly sliced grilled chicken from the nearby brazier. The presentation is unadorned, yet appealing in its simplicity. I take one of the plastic stools, placing the bowl carefully on my lap. The first spoonful is a revelation. The broth is light, yet deeply flavorful, with subtle notes of star anise, cinnamon, and perhaps galangal. The noodles are perfectly cooked, tender but not mushy. The fresh herbs add a bright, aromatic lift, and the grilled chicken is smoky and succulent. It is a simple dish, yet every element is in perfect harmony. There are no fireworks of extreme spice, just a gentle, warming complexity that is immensely satisfying. It tastes of home-cooked care, of tradition passed down. As I eat, I observe the quiet life of the soy around me. A cat sleeps curled up in a patch of sunlight. A child on a tricycle pedals past, ringing a small bell. Two women chat quietly on a nearby doorstep. It feels a world away from the bustling main streets. A pocket of calm where the rhythm of life is slower, more personal. The vendor occasionally glances my way, a soft smile playing on her lips, seemingly pleased that I am enjoying her food. When I finish, I thank her with a smile and a traditional bow, my hands pressed together. She nods in return, her eyes kind. The cost of the meal is negligible, yet the experience feels rich. It is these small, authentic encounters, these moments of shared humanity over a simple bowl of noodles that often leave the most lasting impressions. There was no menu, no elaborate setting, just good, honest food prepared with skill and offered with a quiet warmth. Later in the afternoon, as I wander through another neighborhood, I come across a vendor selling Khao Niao Mamwang mango sticky rice. The sight of the perfectly ripe golden mangoes sliced and arranged beside mounds of glistening sticky rice is irresistible. The vendor, a younger woman this time, expertly spoons the sweet coconut-infused sticky rice onto a small plate, tops it with generous slices of fresh mango, and then drizzles a little extra coconut cream over the top, finishing with a sprinkle of toasted sesame seeds. I find a quiet bench under a shady tree to enjoy this classic Thai dessert. The sticky rice is warm, sweet, and wonderfully chewy. The coconut flavor rich, but not cloying. The mango is incredibly fragrant, its flesh soft and juicy, bursting with tropical sweetness. The combination of textures and flavors is exquisite. The creamy rice, the silky mango, the slight crunch of the sesame seeds. It's a moment of pure, simple pleasure, a perfect counterpoint to the savory noodle soup from earlier. These two culinary moments, unscripted and unassuming, have offered a deeper taste of Bangkok than any formal meal could. They were about more than just food. They were about connection, observation, and an appreciation for the skill and care that goes into even the simplest of dishes. The flavors and fragrances of these gentle encounters will linger in my memory, a sweet and savory reminder of the quiet culinary artistry found in the everyday corners of this vibrant city. Chapter 9, Last Light on Water Lilies. The late afternoon sun casts long shadows across the Klong as I sit on the veranda of my teakwood sanctuary. My time in Bangkok is drawn to a gentle close, and these last hours are for quiet reflection, for absorbing the final impressions of this city, of lotus blooms and serene waterways. My well-worn leather satchel lies open on the low wooden table inside, partially packed. Its familiar contents, notebook, camera, a few changes of clothes, a testament to a life lived in motion, yet always seeking moments of stillness. I hold the single lotus bud I purchased from Klong Talat. It has begun to open slightly, its pale pink petals hinting at the beauty held within. It rests on a small saucer, a quiet companion to my thoughts. The air is warm and still. The usual sounds of the Klong, the putter of long-tail boats, the calls of vendors seem more muted now, as if the city itself is taking a slow, deep breath before the onset of evening. Water lilies float serenely on the Klong's surface, their broad green pads like miniature islands, their white and pale purple flowers glowing softly in the fading light. My thoughts drift back over the past days. I recall the gleaming marble and golden spires of Wat Benchamabafit, the profound peace found within its sacred walls, the silent offerings of lotus flowers laid before serene Buddha images. I remember the gentle journey through the klongs of Thonburi, the glimpses into lives lived in harmony with the water, the whispers of an older, more traditional Bangkok, the vibrant chaos of the flower market, a river of blossoms and fragrance still vivid in my mind's eye. Then there were the quieter moments, the dawn embrace of Lumpini Park, watching Tai Chi practitioners move with graceful intention as lotus flowers greeted the new day. The simple, flavorful noodle soup savored in a hidden soy. The sweet delight of mango sticky rice eaten on a quiet park bench. Each experience, whether grand or humble, has woven itself into the tapestry of my understanding of this city, revealing layers of beauty, spirituality, and gentle resilience. I pick up my notebook, its pages now filled with more observations, sketches, and reflections than when I arrived. I flip through them slowly, reliving certain moments, certain feelings. The act of writing, of trying to capture the essence of a place in words, helps to solidify the memories, to give them a shape and form that I can carry with me. My camera, too, holds its own collection of memories, frozen frames of light and shadow, color and texture. The host of the guest house appears briefly on the veranda, offering a small plate of freshly cut pineapple, its sweetness a refreshing counterpoint to the warm air. Her smile is, as always, kind and gentle. We exchange a few quiet words, my expressions of gratitude for her hospitality, her wishes for my safe onward journey. These small human connections, however brief, add a warmth and depth to the experience of travel that guidebooks can never capture. As twilight deepens, the first stars begin to prick the darkening sky. The reflections on the Klong become more pronounced, the lights from nearby houses creating shimmering paths on the water. The distant, melodious chanting from the temple starts up again, its soothing rhythm a familiar evening song. I feel a sense of peace, a quiet completion. Bangkok has offered its gifts generously, its beauty, its tranquility, its subtle spiritual undercurrents, and I have tried to receive them with an open heart and an observant eye. Packing the last few items into my satchel feels like a gentle ritual of closure. The lotus bud, still slowly unfurling, will travel with me, a tangible reminder of this city. The wanderer awaits, ready to carry me onwards, but a part of Bangkok, its essence, will remain with me, woven into the fabric of my memories. The journey is not just about the destinations, but about these moments of quiet reflection, of absorbing the spirit of a place before moving on. The last light fades from the sky, and the Klong is draped in the soft darkness of night. The water lilies are now indistinct shapes on the water's surface, their blooms closed until the morning. I take a final deep breath of the warm, fragrant air, imprinting the sounds and smells of this peaceful waterside haven onto my memory. There is a touch of melancholy in any departure, but it is tempered by a sense of gratitude for the experiences gained, for the quiet corners discovered, and for the gentle unfolding of the Lotus Blooms of Bangkok. Chapter 10. The Scent of Jasmine Lingers. The familiar steady rhythm of the wanderer's wheels on the tracks is a comforting sound, a gentle transition from the stillness of my Bangkok sanctuary back into the embrace of the journey. I sit by my favorite window, the polished wood cool beneath my arm, watching as the lights and structures of the city gradually give way to the darker, softer shapes of the countryside. The single lotus bud, now nestled in a small glass of water on the table beside me, glows faintly in the warm light of my carriage lamp. The departure was as gentle as the arrival. My host at the Teakwood guest house waved a quiet farewell from her small pier as the long-tail boat carried me back toward the siding where the wanderer waited. There were no grand pronouncements, just a shared smile and a silent understanding. Now, settled back into the familiar comfort of my moving home, I feel a sense of peaceful continuity. Each place visited leaves its imprint, yet the journey itself remains a constant, a thread connecting disparate experiences into a single unfolding story. I open my notebook, its pages filled with the impressions of Bangkok. I read through my recent entries, reliving the colors of the flower market, the serenity of the temples, the quiet life along the Klongs. The scent of jasmine from the small bundle I also purchased at Klong Talat still clings faintly to the pages, a fragrant echo of this city. My camera rests nearby, its memory card holding visual chronicles. But it is these written words, these personal reflections, that often bring back the deeper feelings, the subtle nuances of a place. The wanderer's interior feels welcoming, a familiar haven. The soft glow from the vintage-style lamps, the earthy tones of the wood and fabrics, the quiet hum of the solar-powered systems all contribute to an atmosphere of calm and security. My small collection of books lines the shelf, their spines a comforting array of familiar titles. This carriage is more than just a mode of transport. It is my study, my sanctuary, my constant companion through changing landscapes and cultures. I reflect on the kindness I encountered in Bangkok, the gentle smiles of strangers, the quiet helpfulness of vendors, the warm hospitality of my guest house host. These human connections, however fleeting, are the true treasures of travel. They remind me that despite our diverse cultures and languages, a common thread of humanity binds us. The spirit of Sanok, the Thai concept of finding joy in everyday life, and my Phraya, the relaxed acceptance of things as they are, seem to pervade many of my interactions, leaving a lasting impression of gentle optimism. The lotus flower, a recurring motif throughout my time in Bangkok, now feels like a profound symbol of the journey itself. It rises from murky waters to bloom in pristine beauty, much like how moments of clarity and understanding can emerge from the complexities and uncertainties of travel. Its slow, deliberate unfurling mirrors the pace I try to maintain, allowing experiences to reveal themselves gradually without force or haste. The single bud on my table is a quiet promise of beauty yet to unfold, both literally and metaphorically. As the wanderer moves further into the night, the landscape outside becomes a blur of darkness, punctuated occasionally by the distant lights of a small village or a solitary house. The rhythmic clickety-clack of the wheels is a soothing mantra conducive to contemplation. I think of the next destination, still an undefined point on the map, and feel not anxiety, but a quiet curiosity, an openness to whatever new experiences await. The journey is an act of faith, a trust in the unfolding path. I carefully turn the lotus bud in its glass, observing the delicate unfurling of its outermost petals. The scent of jasmine, though fading, still lingers in the air of my carriage, a sweet memento of Bangkok. These sensory details, the sights, sounds, and smells, are the anchors of memory, capable of transporting me back to a specific time and place with surprising vividness. They are the small, precious souvenirs I collect along the way. With a soft sigh of contentment, I lean back in my comfortable armchair, feeling the gentle sway of the train. The journey continues, carrying me onwards, but the essence of Bangkok, its golden spires, its serene waterways, its fragrant blossoms, and its gentle spirit is now a part of me, a quiet bloom in the garden of my travels. The scent of jasmine, real or imagined, will always evoke the peaceful lotus-strewn pathways of the City of Angels.